Good morning. Hi, babe.
Hi.
What are we doing today?
Updating the list.
Hang out. We'll update the list. Well, we're back. We got a list. Hillary has a marker. We got some updating on the list. So, you want to do additions or subtractions first?
Subtractions.
All right. Well, transmission.
Parts and rebuild.
It's rebuilt.
Transfer case reseal.
What else we got done on the list?
Cleaned under Jeep.
Yeah. And that's about it.
And now we have to add stuff.
We have to add stuff. So I don't think I put on here about repairing the radiator. So I'll put that up there. It's not leaking. One of the brackets has come loose on top where it's soldered to the tank. So we'll pop that loose, clean it, flux it, resolder it, be good to go. So we do have oil cooler lines down here, but found out that the engine oil cooler is leaking. So we'll need a new engine oil cooler. The transmission oil cooler. The one that's on there is not leaking, but with the improvements done to the transmission, that higher pressure will probably explode that transmission cooler. And we don't want to have, we don't want that to happen. So, do we need to add anything else at the moment?
I think so.
I don't think so.
The nephews are very...
Yes. The nephews are very upset that we have not addressed the paint. Boys, we will get to it, I promise. But priority one is get it to where it can, run and drive under its own power. It's just a whole lot easier in life when something can move around under its own power.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Probably next spring.
Make them come out and help.
There you go. Put some chemical gloves on you and you can come out and scrub the ugly off of it. Alright, well, that was a fun start to our list for the morning. So, I'm going to get to work. I'm going to get the radiator drained, get it unhooked, unbolted, pulled aside, and another reason we're doing the oil coolers at the same time, just the location of where I've got the existing oil cooler bracketry. It's a lot easier to do it with the radiator out and just kind of try and catch two fish with one lure. All right, I'm gonna get to work. She's gonna get to recording.
Okay, so here I am standing out in front of the big Jeep. We had lost sound. There's the ground. It was kind of windy that day, so you probably didn't want to hear a bunch of the wind noise. Here's the repair I was talking about earlier. We need to do the radiator where the solder joint has failed on the bracket. So we'll get the radiator pulled out so we can do that. So here I am getting to the oil cooler lines that I have running from the remote filters. There's that remote filter for the engine. I had already removed the transmission one, so we're going to leave the transmission one out and keep the oil one in there. Got to work on removing all that, get it cleaned up, replace those oil cooler lines. They're hydraulic lines. We're going to go back with the AN style lines. They're a lot less expensive than they used to be. Hydraulic lines were better budget minded back then. Still talking about stuff. I don't know what I'm talking about. There's the engine coolant line I was just messing with. Here's that fuel line that's leaking. It was a hydraulic line I had built. Not that we were running that kind of pressure, but it was just a nice clean install to have a hydraulic line. So there again, at some point we'll replace that with AN type line and fittings, and the way to go anymore. We'll do a temporary setup to get her fired up once we got the transmission put in. So I'm going to get to work. Alright, so here got the adapter, or the remote filter housing, and looking at the filter, and what do we notice? It's got the date and the mileage on it. And what does Hillary happen to say?
It's in your handwriting.
Yes, it is. Yep, that's the last time that filter's been changed. Don't know if the oil's been dropped and changed, but Wix, you did a pretty fine job on that. And you know, that Valvoline VR oil back in the day, you know, seemed to be good. It's not smelling bad. It's not full of gas. So must have done something right all those years ago. So kind of cool. We looked up the mileage on the odometer compared to what it was on the filter, and 5,800 miles since I had changed the oil. So now I'm going to get back to work and get the radiator hoses removed and get that radiator out. Alright, now we've got our radiator out. You can really see how separated it is from that top tank. The lower one, it didn't come apart, but that upper joint come apart. Vibration, you know, stuff like that being used off-road. So we're going to sand and clean and do some chemical cleaning flux it and fix that. Rest of the radiator looks good. It's a 3-core radiator, no leaks. Doesn't look like it's plugged up with crud and dirt in the fins. So here we go. Now we're looking down in at the oil coolers. That's why I wanted to get the radiator out so I could access those a little easier. The bars I had built to hold those oil coolers, they're actually welded into the radiator support. And so now we've got the radiator out. It'll be a little easier to get to those. See how wet it is down at the bottom of those coolers. They're for sure leaking.
Some guy did overkill on these. Didn't want them moving, I guess. Like it was a trail rig or something. Well, come on. Don't make me go get the big bar. Because I don't care if you get damaged because you're getting thrown in the scrap. Well, as long as this bumper doesn't kill me first. I welded that. Son of a gun. Who would do such a thing? Boy, I did not think that through for retrieval later. Whoops. So I bolted all this to the bracket. Welded the bolts on the backside so it wouldn't spin. and then welded the whole bracket with the coolers on it into the body. Yeah, I didn't think I went through. Well, come on now. All right, sweet tea break. I'm coming back with a pry bar. I'm back. Got a pry bar. Rinsed my mouth out with some sweet tea. All the fluids have been dripping in it since I've been under it. How you guys doing in here? Is the wind helping in my pocket? You're in my pocket. All right. Oh, just like. Oh, you want me to do it again? All right, you just stick it in and. Maybe if I get that adapter fitting off, I can get to it. Get to it even more if this freaking bumper wasn't in my way. I'm gonna cuss and complain about this bumper until I just take it off. Not right now. I need to cut it off. But when it's time. Be like that, huh?
5 minutes later.
Yep, I like that. Let's go that route. Come on, do it, do it, do it. Twist off. Ah, that'll work. We don't need that where we're going anyway. That's off and out of the way now. Yuck on there, but not bad. So now that's out. I gotta figure out where I'm gonna put this power steering cooler because the other coolers I have will eat up this entire space pretty much. Yep, but we got lots of room. Fan clutch is leaking. Yeah, that's a disappointment. It'll work for a moment. Not wobbling at least. But yep, we'll definitely have to replace that before we decide to go do any trips. Okay, all right, so we're putting the, pony before the honey wagon or something like that. But I just want to kind of get an idea of what I can do here. Cut those bolts off. Weld in some L brackets. Or do I maybe go that way? I hadn't honestly contemplated that way before. That may be our winner. Maybe. Yeah, except for the fact that they're pointed right at each other. Ah. move the power steering cooler to the middle and put these on the sides. That might be a thought. Kind of liking the way that'll lay out better in my mind. Originally, I was planning on having them both side by side up high. There was room for both of them side by side off of measuring. But now, I may go the other way. These are the Summit brand oil coolers. They have the larger 8 AN fittings. AN stands for Army Navy, if you don't know. It's not aluminized, nanoed, or whatever. It's Army Navy is the fitting. It's a flare type fitting. Can't remember if this is a 28 or a 30 plate, but it's a plate style. Ooh, getting bombed by butterflies. Goodbye, butterfly. So anyway, it's got these plates that it runs back and forth through. And then the fins are attached to the plates and the air goes across the fins, and that's what you get your heat transfer from. You know, Radiator is a tube and fin design. Let's set this down. You watch that for me, dog. So this Radiator, it's a brass and copper. Come on over and take a look. So they're brass tubes. That's what these are. And then, copper tubes, brass tanks, and then fins in between them. And they're again heat transfer from water to metal and then air to metal fins. That's how that'll work. This is a 3-core heavy-duty Radiator. It was the heaviest one, heavy-dutiest one available at the time, short of going to custom aluminum. And at that time, aluminum radiators were just out of sight money. It was cheaper for this than a comparable aluminum radiator. Today, the opposite is true. You can pick up aluminum radiators for next to nothing. And these copper and brass units, I bet this thing's $800, $900 nowadays. The reason it's called a 3, I don't know if we can really see in here. You gotta get way up in there to see. And you got a cricket taking up residence. You're gonna get evicted. I don't know if you can look at an angle and see there's 3 rows of tubes in there. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. There's a
I see 2.
Yeah, we can see 2 from that angle. You can kind of see if you look in through there. So that's a 3-core.
Oh, there. I can see one.
Yeah, you can see all 3 of them there. So that's a 3-core Radiator. Go on. And that's why it's called a 3-core. It's got 3 rows of copper tubes going between the tanks. Water goes, gets sucked out of the bottom of the radiator by the water pump, pushed up into the engine. Of course, you've got, thousands of degrees combustion happening, and so all that heat radiates out into the block, and then that heat is picked up by the coolant water mixture, and then it flows, hits the thermostat. Thermostat opens at the proper temperature, and then it goes through the upper radiator core, and it just does a loop-de-loop, keeping it cool. All right, back to work. Okay, so we brought this inside out of the breeze. That's some sandpaper. We're going to sand this. Get, there's some rough spots where the paint had an edge, and then the solder itself. We want to try and get that smooth. You can see we're getting down to the brass, got the brass color there. We want her pretty clean. Don't fall over that. Okay, So I'm going to get to scrubbing and cleaning on this, and then we'll show you the next step. So, some acetone for our cleanup. Should make sure we don't have any oil residue, anything like that that can contaminate our solder joint, hopefully. Alright. Now, remove this. Next, take some of our flux. And we're going to get that all up in there real good. On both sides. How do you flux? You use so much it's dripping off your elbows? You use barely enough? Somewhere in between? Let us know. Not a plumber or radiator specialist by any means. So, yeah, got our solder. I'm using some 60-40 acid core because, well, that's what I have. Typically 50-50 tin lead is about what you want. Now, let's make some fire. It was lit, didn't even know it. Alright, got me a little, oh darn it, oxy propane mini bottle set, little pencil set. This thing is touchy. Alright, what we're going to do, or attempt to do, is get everything hot, and then we're going to jam this solder in and let it flow. May have to add some more flux. Little steam out of the radiator. Don't pay attention to that. It's fine. It's all fine. As you see, it flows. Get that flux before, get it flow through the joint. And we're gonna kill that and hold that. Let it cool. We'll see if that holds. So far, so good. Now, I can see a little gap in there. So, I don't think it's as good as I want. I have to try it again. Get that flux in there. I'll see if we can get that to flow in a little bit better. Oh, you dirty dog. These valves are very sensitive. All right. I don't know if this is the right way, but it's the way I'm doing it. That stuff's hot, by the way. Probably should be wearing safety gear. In case this were to spring back on me. All right. Well, I think there's enough on there. Find out. I'm gonna let that cool. We'll, it's a little warm in here. We're gonna let that cool and clean that off, paint it, and it'll be ready to be put back in when we're done with the oil coolers. Got a little shopping list. Got to go get a few little this and that's from the hardware store and such to get going on the rest of that. So that's where we'll leave you for today. We're gonna go do some shopping, do some cleaning up, and when we get those pieces ready, we'll put them in together. So be sure to like and subscribe. You know, we'd really love it if you'd subscribe. We know there's a bunch of you out there that watch them, but really helps us out if you subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your relatives, tell you to tell your ex, but no, you don't need to talk to your ex. Till next time, I'm Chris. It's been Lost and Refound. Bye. That's all right. We can cut that out. So you may have noticed, once in a while, the camera will shake. Ah! Yeah. Usually it's because I say something Hillary finds funny and she's holding the camera. Image stabilization, not quite there yet.